Guys, subscribe to the channel and let's get 500 likes and I will release a new part. The man asks the guy to focus because he has something important to report. Tenjin also emphasizes that he will try his best. Minister Wu began by saying that he told me about the king's decree, according to which the hero will be appointed general of Zhengbei. After that, the head of the house of Wu notices that the first order that the king gave the guy, take a seat in Pingyuan district. Tenjin is mentally surprised by this development of events, because he doesn't quite understand why he was assigned there. The man gets up from his seat and leaves accompanied by the youngest daughter, leaving the young genius with the eldest daughter. In private, Mei immediately decides to clarify what Tang Yin thinks about this appointment. The same notes that if it's the king's order, then he can't do anything about it because he can't have the right. Based on your own opinion, the girl does not believe that the interlocutor wants to go voluntarily there, because if he didn't want to, she could talk to her father. The hero says so, that this is not necessary, because there is a war going on, so it does not matter where to fight. Mei also says that not everything is so simple. She wants to warn him about something important, but Tenjin, he believes that it is unlikely that anyone but him will be able to cope with this. The other person starts counting that the guy was out of his mind. The girl says that she has not the slightest desire to see, like him, who died for the country. They are being sent back to the city. The hero is surprised by these words, and then smiles. Tenjin is sure that he will not die so easily. After hearing this, Mei sets the condition that if he insists, he will have to leave the second building. The hero calmly agrees to this, telling about his only request. He wants to. He was allowed to choose several chiliarchs. The girl says that if he accepted the final decision, then so be it. Tenjin says goodbye to the girl, leaving her. Deep evening sets in. Eugene quickly analyzed the new information. He is aware that sending them to Pingyuan district is a pretty dirty ploy against Brother Tang. But in this case, it's not a big deal. The old fox is round. Liang Xing definitely screwed up. In the morning, the scientist says that this time the situation is favorable for Brother Tan. The hero decides to find out why he thinks so. Eugene explains that the city has already become a place where the four great powers families are fighting for their own benefit. And since the rats have not yet been detected, it's best to leave if he doesn't want to become a victim of other clans. Pingyuan region is located in very far away, and he was also assigned the role of protector and given the rank of general of Zhengbei. Therefore, according to the scientist, such a simple task as protecting the area should not become a priority, an obstacle for Brother Tan. Besides, he thinks that such a hectic life is more. It is suitable for its development. If one day there will be internal disagreements in the country again, Brother Tang can just hide and avoid unnecessary trouble. The interlocutor emphasizes that the conditions there are really harsh, so they should also be wary of Morpheus gang. Hero, however, he points out that he definitely wouldn't want to go there if it was peaceful place. Just then, someone calls Tang Yin from outside the house. Outside the house, Tenjin runs into his subordinates. It doesn't understand why each of them looks very sad. He points out that each of them should already know that her job needs to be completed. They are positioned in the Pingyuan area. Tang Yin says that on this trip to Pingyuan district, the second corps will stay here, and the leader of the first corps will also be replaced. He asks if anyone is ready to follow him, with the caveat that he never forces. The archer and swordsman are the first to agree that helped the hero in a recent battle with an enemy general. Eugene notes to himself that it's a pretty good decision to take them with you, because they are loyal to him. 4 new recruits are also ready to follow him, but experienced soldiers are in no hurry to answer, clearly doubting such a decision. Tenjin, noticing their mood, says that there is no need for them to force themselves, since all of them are in the same mood. The families are in Yang City, so it would be too cruel to ask them to follow him. Hero, he claims that they all have different responsibilities, but that they have made a big contribution in his eyes, and he, very grateful and hope that everyone succeeds after he leaves. One of the men says he's organizing a feast later, and today he's offering to have a drink with friends. Noticing that people are still gloomy, Tang Yin states that he is going to Pingyuan for a position, not a job. Moreover, he was awarded the rank of General Zhengbei, so it seems to him that they should be happy for him. Those present congratulate their leader on his promotion in unison, and then the feast begins in the center of the city. Honor of this event, those present drink wine and enjoy each other's company. The foursome recognizes you as a veteran, that they wanted to follow General Tang Yin. The man notices that even though the leader tried, I was hard on them not to show my concern, but they still felt it, and since General Tang Yin killed Liang Yuanmo's subordinates, and he decided to follow him to the end, the man claims that General Tang Yin can laugh at them, but now he is his son, a subordinate, so in the future he will also remain one and follow his orders, regardless of what they will be. Other soldiers support the speech of a comrade. Tenjin is the same. Getting up from his seat, he notices that if you believe his words, then he blindly accepted him as a brother. The hero gets up from his seat, saying that it doesn't matter if they follow him to the Penguin region or not. He hopes that everyone gets what they want. The guy notes that for him also, it's a huge honor to talk to all of them, so today they won't stop until they've drained everything. Wine stocks. The next morning, the hero is going to leave. General Wu walks into his room. Tenjin immediately asks if she has something to say to him, and he gives it her all as it is. She urges him to be more careful when he arrives in the area. Penguin, Morpheus gang is not only good in battle, but also treacherous and especially dangerous riders. Dragons. But don't worry too much about it. Princess getting out of her carriage. I was personally able to stop them. Heiress Wu expects the war to come soon. It would be over, and then she would try to visit him and help him get back. The hero is the same. She notices that she doesn't have to worry about him. The guy thinks that there is no need to exaggerate everything so much because Penguin District is not so bad, so he'll probably get used to it quickly. He also asks that the interlocutor still. He remembered her words, even though it should be fine with his potential. The girl also. He notices that she has prepared a gift for him, so Wu suggests that he go out and look at it. The hero is a little surprised by the mystery of the gift that they want to give him. By this, the gift is a horse. Mei tells me that the horse's name is Zhu Yang, and that it is a thoroughbred steed of Wulong, and she bought it in Mo country 2 years ago. She notes that the guy will need it more than her, so how he's going to Penguin District. The hero thanks the interlocutor for such care. The girl is the same. It's amazing that the other person is still so polite to her. The girl abruptly hugs the hero, saying that he should not die. It is clear that she is sincere. She wants him to return safely to her. Tears are running down her cheeks. He declares that they will meet again soon, and before that, they will not be able to meet again. But he must live. A gust of wind blows a girl's hair in the wind. Tenjin still strokes her long hair. He tries to calm her down, even though it's obvious that he's doing it clumsily and hesitantly. His hands are shaking with excitement. The next morning, the sky was clear. Tang Yin was already about to head to Penguin District. Then he was followed by 6 chosen chiliarchs and some soldiers. There were a lot of people, those who saw him off. Almost all of them were from the second building. Only Wu Mei didn't show up. Tang Yin felt a little disappointed. He wished he hadn't. I managed to say goodbye to Yin Ru. All the soldiers asked the general to take care of himself and wished him a happy journey with tears in their eyes. Tenjin did not understand why they were all crying, because he was not going to die at all, and if he allows it, they will meet again. Eugene points out that after stopping at Shun, they will reach the city tomorrow afternoon. Penguin County, however, there are no villages nearby to make a stopover. The scientist decides, find out if Brother Tang rejected Yu He's personal invitation. After all, if this is the case, then he definitely will be hostile to him. Tenjin says that as a high-ranking official in Tian District, all he does is, he amuses himself, and he has never been interested in what is happening in the territory of his power. The hero thinks they must be the person who used connections to get it, the place he's at now, and he doesn't think there's any need to worry about it. Then he notices that it's starting to get dark, so the hero decides to find a spacious place along the way and set up camp to spend the night. Then someone stops Tang Yin's group. 2 big men who are very similar to each other claim that all these trees were planted by them, and this road is paved by them, so if they want to pass, they have to pay. Brothers, they offer to leave half of the riches of travelers, and then they will miss them, and if they do not have enough money, they will not be able to do it. If they dare to be bold, they will die. The swordsman is about to draw his sword, not understanding how they had the guts to even think about it. Robbing the army. Tang Yin stops the subordinate. The hero recognizes the twin brothers in owners of the road. He decides to find out why they are stealing and if they know who he is. One of the brothers says that Tom should not worry. They believe that their interlocutor, just one of those people who just dresses beautifully, but they still ask who he is. You think so? Tenjin introduces himself as the newly appointed general of Penguin District. He pulls out his own blades and breaks into battle under Eugene's surprised gaze. It quickly turns out to be next to one of the brothers, then strikes with a blade. The enemy manages to react by substituting. The handcuff is under attack. The guy breaks the distance, mentally noticing that the speed of manifestation and the strength of his spirit pretty good, so the opponent should be at least at the origin level. Souls. Twin brothers cover their bodies with spiritual armor. One of them says that the spiritual art is pretty good, but his morals are too low. What is he talking about? Can judge after seeing a dastardly attack. Tang Yin covers his body with armor, startled that the 2 robbers dared to say something to him about morals. Moreover, they must have heard words that all means are good in war. Their weapons collide, causing a flash of light. Oath. The brothers want to kill General Tang Yin. The battle begins. The hero confronts two strong opponents at once. It combines its own scythe blades to gain a small advantage in attack range. Twin brothers. They attack from different directions, trying to catch Tenjin off guard. Tang Yin deflects the enemy's attack with a wave-like attack with his power. Those fly off too. He stood to one side, somehow staying on his feet. The brothers slow down their fall, after which they again break down to the hero. My friends want to help them. However, it is obvious that they are not at the level to be able to do anything against a spiritual master. Martial arts. The hero understands that both opponents are on the origin of the soul, so he's not at all surprised that their powers are equal. The brothers stab the guy's body, but no blood spurts. In all directions, the brothers are angry that the enemy is running away from them. Then they look back and see that the army, together with a group of the enemy, they had already come to his aid. They decide to back down, stating that Tenjin was just lucky. A group of horsemen runs up to Tang Yin. Their leader jumps down from his horse, ordering his subordinates, "Stop now." It turns out that this is the Chiliarch of the Pingyuan District 1st Army, Zhang Zhu. Assumes that Lord Tang Yin's guards are standing in front of him. The hero steps forward and introduces himself. Zhang Zhu then apologizes for being late. So let's hope that Lord Tang can forgive him for his mistake. Tenjin assures that everything is fine. The hero notices that he is new here and is not very familiar with the Pingyuan area, so he would like to ask Chiliarch Zhang a few questions. The latter allows you to ask. Tenjin noticed that there were more bandits here, but for some reason, the Chiliarch Zhang didn't take the army and destroy them. The hero also noticed that the uniforms of the soldiers are very expensive, light and worn, although winter is approaching. The guy assumes that the man has appropriated. Keep the money for yourself. Zhang Zhu insists that his subordinate is trying to root out the bandits, but they will not be able to stop them. Each time I manage to get away, which is to blame for him and his lack of abilities, and as for embezzlement of money, then he would never have done it. It is important for the hero to know where the money is then. The Chiliarch hesitates, because he is not sure whether to tell him unconfirmed information. Tenjin gives his go-ahead. It turns out that they haven't been sent any armor for 3 years, and even food is almost non-existent. That remained. They survived only thanks to donations from local residents. The hero decides, take an army and go to Shun to demand money immediately. Chiliarch Zhang doubts whether this is acceptable in their position. The guy points out that if he dares mention this word in his presence, then he will make it so that it will roll on the floor. Chapter 1-74. A plump man watches as a beautiful girl prepares to please him. He asks her how long it will take her to prepare. A representative of the fair sex, pulling out. She puts her hair clip on the table and laughs and asks if he thinks she wants to run away. At this time, the army led by Tenjin is trying to enter the city. The guard tells them that if you have, General Tang Yin doesn't have a document or letter, so they can't let him enter the city. The hero is the same, claims that he needs to find Lord Yu to formally resolve the matter. Tang Yin, this situation is starting to get annoying, so he warns that if the guard continues, he will not be able to stop himself. If you don't, then he'll deal with it. The guy also thinks that General Tang Yin knows a lot about himself. You think so? After that, Tenjin orders Gu Yu to get the guy out of the way and execute him. At this time, the beauty, who has already prepared herself for an intimate relationship with a man, decides. He asked why Lord Yu was so blank today. The guard also believes that General Tang Yin has no right to kill him. Tenjin is the same. Declares that if any of them dare to stop him, he will also kill him. The swordsman demolishes the head of the arrogant boy, and the rest of the guards in fear make way for the army. The hero. After some time, the hero together with Eugene gets to the official residence. The assistant to the mayor informs that the latter is currently resting. In addition, it notices that Lord Tang Yin can't barge in like that, even if he wants to. Meet the Lord. He asks the guy to at least let him log in first to report it. His visit. Tenjin stresses that this is not necessary. The brunette grabs the other man's arm. His hand, wanting him to just show him where Lord Yu's room was. The man says that Lord Yu's room is the last one down the hall. At this time, in the most, and the girl asks Lord Yu to give her some space. The fat man offers partner to climb on top of him. That's what she does. A representative of the fair sex leans towards the client's face, saying that he can forget everything. Unpleasant things that happened to him today, because tonight he will be fine. Served. The next moment, the doors to the room open abruptly. Tenjin stands in the doorway, together with several people. It was he who kicked the door off his foot. Tang Yin thanks Lord Yu for his hard work. Fat man, being under the impression of, still, he decides to find out why he's here. The girl at this time hides behind him. The hero is the same. He notices that there is no reason to be nervous, because he came here to tell him just one thing. The guy took a chair to be on a level with the other person. The hero decides to ask, seeing Lord Yui's lavish life, if he has noticed that winter is coming. and soldiers should wear normal clothing in the Pingyuan area. In addition to the hero, I wonder why also more than 300 soldiers don't get even half of what they need. Power supply. The man tries to justify himself by saying that they have already started producing a large number of clothing, and in terms of rations, Pingyuan has 3 armies, and they all go to war as a result, which kills a lot of soldiers. Tenjin picks up on his thought, realizing that the other person has reduced the size of the image. The amount doubled, which is why he has not paid extra soldiers for 3 years. Now everything falls into places, because their army is unable to defend against bandits because of Lord Yu. Hero. He emphasizes that he must inform the emperor about this, that he saw that, regardless of the fact that, as far as his support is strong, everything will be useless. Tenjin states that they can also discuss everything peacefully. Lord Yu also claims that it's not that he doesn't want to hand over the money, but rather that he doesn't want to give it away, that they are facing financial difficulties. He asks the other person to leave first. Tang Ying takes these words in such a way that it is not part of the interlocutor's plans to cooperate with him, so he pulls out his blade. This causes fear in the fat man, who does not understand that the guy, I've got it planned. He assumes that Tenjin is going to kill him. The hero, putting a man to the throat, blade, declares that he will not stoop to the baseness of killing him. Tang Yin orders him to immediately prepare rations and money for 50,000 rubles. A soldier, otherwise he would have to invite him back to the city, or he would take his head to Yancheng to meet the emperor. Lord Yu immediately realizes that he is in a very sad situation. Therefore, he says that he will prepare everything right away and tell his people everything right now. Prepare. After some time, the hero sits on a horse. It asks if the payment has been sent to the account. General Zhang. The man replies that resources have already been sent to the 3 armies. Eugene and the swordsman finish their report to General Tang. The latter also thanks his subordinates for hard work, then turns to the fat man, saying that since they already have all the products, he won't interfere with Mr. Yu. As soon as the hero leaves, the Lord clenches his fists, believing that no one will want the scoundrel Tang Yin to see after this. The man wants him to die in Pingyuan district. The fat man states that no one can know what happened here today, and if anyone tells you about it, they will kill you. The Chatterbox. Pingyuan district is located in the northernmost part of Feng country, extending for several kilometers, thousands of kilometers from Yancheng. We can assume that this area is middle class, although outwardly Heian. It looks busy, but the streets here are almost deserted. There are shops on both sides of the street as well, closed. All this gives the impression that the city is abandoned. Second leader Bai Yun personally met Tang Yin, and also informed him of what was going on for him so far. The 3rd army is unavailable. The meeting was attended by a large number of officials and merchants. Tang Yin also learned more about the pastoral tribe from Bai Yun, just as Wu Mei had said. Thieves and Morpheus gang took over and ran most of the cities. Bay City is one of the most popular cities in the world, the largest bandit cities. There are many strong people here, not only disagreements in the army. They are the reason why Pingyuan lost in wars. Tang Yin ordered his men to set up camp. He also said that he will submit a request for placement 2 armies in the Pingyuan area and wrote a petition to the emperor about it. Of course, before, the letter was handed over to the emperor and placed in Wu Mei's hands for review. After some time, then she sent out a response, trying to notify each city that the recruitment of soldiers was underway. Everything was excellent. Sure enough, as an official, Tang Yin lived in a feudal manner. The territory was huge. Since he had no family, Tang Yin allowed Eugene and the rest of the leaders to live there. This made communication easier. A conversation begins between several people. One notices that they have a strong enemy. The Pingyuan area is already in chaos, and they should eliminate groups of bandits. The interlocutor replies that his subordinate will pass on the order. The hero notices that the guy looks bad, so he suggests putting it off for later. The same person says that this is true, but the leaders of these bandits are called Shanggu and Yuan Wu and Shan Jiguan, Yuan Biao. These are 2 of the 4 Shanguan brothers, people who always give everything they have. Their name is Shangong Yuanji. And there are also 2 older brothers. The oldest brother, Shangguan Yuanji's brother, is the most famous and well-to-do person, despite the fact that the nature of his abilities, he was outstanding. Pingyuan district soldiers have a hard life, and the older brother donated money and food to them without asking for a reward, so he got the trust of most people. The second big brother is Shangguan Yuanrang, and he is the most mysterious of the 4. They say that he has a strong physique, has a talent for the art of materialization, and conducts more time on the battlefields than the rest of the experts, but still not once lost. His cultivation had reached an unimaginable level. The 3rd and 4th brothers, Shangguan Yuanwu and Shangguan Yuanbao, are twins. They have been restless since childhood. These guys have been in many dangerous situations and become robbers, but they rarely kill. They're victims. All they care about is robbing the merchants, and they only take half of it. To myself, Tenjin suggests that the older brother, Shang Guan, is engaged in supplying a huge amount of food for the army, and the third and fourth are ordinary bandits, which is strange. Eugene, he understands that this is really very unusual. The hero also notes that this is a sponsorship. Shangguan Yuanji is on credit, so they can't allow this kind of behavior from Shangguan. Yuanwu and Shangguan Yuan bow. The subordinate asks to be allowed to express his opinion, if Lord Tang doesn't mind. At this time, Tang Yin's group reviews the equipment, recognizing that it looks very expensive. A young boy asks the leader to take a look at a horse from Basie City. Hero with a jump. It turns out to be an animal, mentally noticing that it is more than a horse from the country of Fen. After Tang Yin gets off the horse, the subordinate asks him to pay attention to the armor and weapons. The hero comes up and picks up the helmet. He immediately notices that it is made of pure steel, and it's pretty solid, too. It is unlikely to be able to break through or break it without using spiritual weapons. Then Tang Yin abruptly lets go of the head guard. A thing with a loud sound falls to the ground. The hero immediately asks Chiliarch Bai whether it will be difficult for soldiers to wear such clothes. Interlocutor admits that it will be difficult because they usually wear light uniforms. Enter a conversation. One of Tang Yin's loyal men interrupts. He believes that the soldiers will not be able to move in these conditions. The armor. Bai understands that the brutes who wear this heavy armor never leave their own horses, so they don't need to walk. Tenjin notes that such armor is not worth it. Use it, so it calls for putting it back in its place. Then he asks his subordinates to come over to him because he has something to say. The hero notes that while they have postponed this case, the problem with the bandits should be solved. After all, no matter who they are, he will not allow such behavior on his territory. He decides that they need to choose the best warriors from the 1st and 2nd armies to be ready tomorrow morning. Move to the enemy base. Subordinates accept the order. Tang Yin lets everyone go. Rest, but reminds them not to forget to prepare thoroughly. When the subordinates leave, the two brothers are left alone, and the scientist decides to ask what is tomorrow. Brother Tan will wear it. The latter decides to find out the opinion of a friend on this issue. Eugene explains that these two are masters of the art of war, so the best plan would be replace them both and then catch them without killing them. It is important that Shangguan Yunji is considered good, a politician, and they're missing someone like him in the political department. He thinks they can use the two younger brothers to capture Shangguan Yuanji. That sounds incredible, but Brother Tang is quite capable of it, and he believes that Yuanzi will want to follow his brother. Tenjin decides to act on this plan. Eugene, on the other hand, makes a mental note that his strong point is to create plans and strategies and follow them, but he is not so strong in politics, and this way, he will be able to relieve himself of some responsibilities. The next morning, the hero tells the plan to his subordinates. On collects them from a small stone on which he lays out the map. He will lead Chiliarch Gu, Chiliarch Lai, and part of the army. They will rise up and lure the Shangguan brothers. Subsequently, Chiliarch Shang and his troops immediately. They'll come up and attack them. It indicates where everyone, with the exception of Chiliarch Shang, will be waiting to set up an ambush. The hero decides to find out the opinion of Chiliarch Bai. The same one expresses doubts. According to this plan, considering that Lord Tang Yin is the commander, so should not be exposed to danger is so easy. It turns out that the young boy wants to replace Tenjin in the plan, because he knows both brothers. Shangguan is like 5 fingers, so it will be easier for him to become a bait for them. Eugene thinks that this is a good idea. Tang Yin accepts this, deciding to replace himself with Chiliarch Bai. Thereafter, they are encouraged to follow the rules and be careful. The hero declares that this time they will definitely get rid of the bandits once and for all. Bai, along with a small detachment of soldiers, goes to the place. He hears the sound of horses. From afar, I thought to myself who it was. The two brothers immediately recognize Chiliarch Bai. One of them decides to find out what brought him here. Guy. He admits that he turned a blind eye to this behavior because of their older brother, but if they dared to rob Lord Tang, they can't let them escape, so they followed them. With them, to conquer this county. One of the bandit brothers takes it as a joke because the interviewee is still too inexperienced if he has gone on a crusade against them. The goon admits that Bai has become quite famous in this area, but he is unlikely to be able to achieve anything in the future. There is no such army in the future, so the man offers to leave it and join them. Chiliarch Bai notes that in the past, they would have been able to convince him, but now everything has changed. After all, Lord Tang is a very talented general. Thanks to being here in Pingyuan region, it is being transformed. So instead he wants to advise you to give up the life of a gangster. Follow Lord Tang, because it will benefit them. The brothers count all these words bullshit, because in their opinion, General Tang is incompetent, because his soldiers will die. First, because their team was sent here to die. The second brother thinks so, that the other person is overpraising the new general, so he calls by either hear his advice or die at their hands. A young guy declares that if they continue to be bandits, then their descendants will also become so, and the face of the Shanguan family was disgraced by the two of them. The guy doesn't understand how, living such a vicious life, they dare talk such nonsense. One of the brothers breaks into battle because his benevolent advice. They took it as nonsense. It hurt his pride a lot, so if the guy wants to die like that, then he will grant his wish. Bai pulls out his sword, covering it with spiritual power and saying that because of the two of them, he is ashamed. To brother Yuanji, the attacker also notices that it's okay if you failed as an attacker, a human, but he also damaged his brother Yuanji's reputation. Bai also notes that if he would have hit his head on the wall and died right here, because he's just a disgrace, dishonor. My own brother. Bai knocks off opponents. It deflects the first blow, however. The second blow is already incredibly difficult to deflect, so the guy has to block it with the edge of his sword. Both brothers are seething with anger, realizing that they are being bullied, so they want to kill the offender. The swordsman already wants to intervene in the fight, because a 2-1 fight is not very fair, but the archer, she stops him, noticing that Chiliarch Bai is catching his breath. The latter does not understand that brothers for people who mock the weak. He will climb on a horse, claiming that today he will let them go, but tomorrow they will fight. One of the brothers breaks down in pursuit of Bai, surprised that the guy just runs away. He is called upon to stop, because his bravado simply frightened them, frozen in place. The swordsman, he orders the soldiers to give chase. At this time, Chiliarch Bai, who is running away from the two brothers, notices that the same place is ahead and that everything is going according to plan. He stands on a horse and then accidentally falls off it. Stalker, she laughs at him, calling him useless. He's going to jump and deliver a fatal blow to finish off the impudent man right here and now. The second brother nervously asks the first to turn around. From behind the swinging warrior appears Tenjin, who already has his scythe in his hands, charged with dark energy. A powerful kick in the back hits exactly the target. The first brother flies out of the way. The second brother becomes enraged, calling Tang Yin a bastard and snapping at him. It's blocked by the way of the swordsman and Chiliarch Bai. The trio exchange a series of blows, from which it becomes clear that the second brother is superior. Their strength and spiritual energy. He is already about to launch a decisive offensive, but which stops it. The experienced warrior's intuition works perfectly, so he jumps back, noticing in time. A person on high ground when the battle takes place in a canyon. Archer forces second brother retreat, but his arrows do not reach the opponent. At this time, the hero puts the scythe blade to the neck of the first brother. He orders you to bind him. A captured bandit. The girl first twists the rope, then sends it to the side. The bandit. When the first brother is tied up, Tenjin explains that there is no point in resisting him, because this special rope is made so that even the strongest master cannot run away. The captured man calls Tang Yin to fight him one-on-one if he has the guts, not Tonka, for he can attack like a snake. Commander Tan also asks you to shut him up, because it's too much. Noisily, he goes to the second brother, while the first brother declares that if it wasn't for him, if he was careless, then it would have been different, because if he was wearing his spiritual armor, then he wouldn't have been able to. It's so easy to grab it. The big guy who was caught says that from what he just saw, General Tang doesn't have the right to call yourself the defender of the district. He wants to say something else, but they put a cloth over his mouth. Tenjin says that Chiliarch AI will stay here and watch over him, and the rest of the people will stay here. Will follow him. Tang Yin is the first to break into battle, swinging his scythe. The hero sends a powerful wave of spiritual energy into the back of the second brother. The latter must somehow to get out of it, because in front of him, Chiliarch Bai and swordsman are straining. The spiritual arts master reacts to Tang Yin's attack. He puts his hands forward in the form of a cross, releasing a stream of spiritual energy from the body. The defense is stronger than the attack. In the next instant, the scythe blade collides with second brother's spear. The hero abruptly retreats back, but the enemy is not allowed to descend. The onslaught of the swordsman falls on him from different directions and Chiliarch Bai, the bandit, has a hard time. Moments later, he is surrounded by Tang Yin's subordinates. They confidently attack him from all sides, not giving him time to rest. Archer doesn't either. He stays on the sidelines, straining the warrior all the time. Tenjin, having picked up the perfect moment, attacks the second brother from the back when the latter. I have to block Chiliarch Bai's attack. A powerful blow from the hero slams the second brother into the ground, causing significant damage. His subordinates are beginning to rejoice that they caught him. After placing the two bound brothers in the cart, the swordsman notices that if Lord Tang hadn't restrained them, he might have been able to stop them. If it was him, they would never have been able to catch the two brothers. Second brother doesn't understand who the people around them are imagining themselves because if they want to catch the older one, they must first catch the older one. They will step over their dead bodies. Tenjin wants to talk to Eugene, but they are interrupted from the meeting. This is Chiliarch Bai, who reports that Chiliarch Zhang has arrived. The subordinate reports to their leader that they have successfully destroyed the camp. Bandits. They also caught a lot of bandits and even found some gold. This news is encouraging. The hero then asks the brothers to wait until they reach the city of Han, where they are staying. They will pay for all their crimes. Tenjin gives the order to return to the city. The news that the robbers had been completely suppressed spread throughout Hang City. Officials and the merchants have already visited the city guard, not forgetting to flatter and present various gifts to Lord Tang Yin to express his gratitude. But citizens, in addition to officials and merchants, remained indifferent, forgetting about the kindness of the authorities. They even had indifferent to what had happened, as if it had nothing to do with them. This did not escape the attentive hero, so he summoned Chiliarch Zhang to find out why ordinary people do not celebrate the suppression of robbers. It turns out that the Shanguan brothers, they stole exclusively from merchants, not from peasants, so the common people have no grudge against them. At the same time, a very aristocratic person passes along the city street. Two girls finds out the young man Shanguan Yuanji, who came to see the city guards because that his brothers had been arrested. One of the fair sex thinks that the new city guards now want to accumulate achievements and have come for local robbers, as they are afraid to fight with soldiers. A friend supports this idea because the Shanguan brothers robbed only the rich, but just people were not touched, although the soldiers should protect them, and they were only caught in order to stand out. One of his subordinates informs him that Shanguan Yuanzi is requesting an audience with Lord Tang. Eugene suggests that he finally lost his patience, deciding to visit their city. Tenjin, he orders me to take him to the main hall. Yuanji greets Lord Tang, mentally noting that the city guards are too young. During this time, Tenjin makes a mental note that the other person looks much younger than he is. He imagined it. He expected the decision-maker in the city to be an experienced middle-aged man. The hero declares that he has heard about the exploits of his older brother, Shanguan. He's even a little surprised that the man found the time to see him. He admits that he came here because of his incompetent brothers. Yuanji tells us that Yuan Wu and Yuan Bao naturally love fighting, but they are not bad people, so hopefully, Lord Tang Yin could be so merciful as to give them a second chance. The hero points out that honest people don't beat around the bush, so he decides to speak directly about that brother Shanguan has always given his camp a huge amount of support, for which they sincerely thank him. He is grateful, but his brothers blocked roads and robbed people, causing harm. Tenjin decides, ask if the other person tried to stop it, or turned a blind eye to what his brothers were doing. Yuanji replies that he didn't turn a blind eye to what was happening, and it's just that they didn't. They listened to his advice and stubbornly insisted on their own. Tang Yin claims that by letting them go, he allowed them to. The tiger is free to roam around, so in order to prevent this from happening in the future, he will personally execute them tomorrow in public. The hero warns that the interlocutor should no longer begging for mercy on my own behalf for those two. Yuanji also asks the guy to reconsider his decisions. After all, he made donations to the army without asking for anything in return, and now he dares to brazenly ask him to show mercy and let them go. The interviewee claims that if they do this again, he will personally arrest them and bring them to justice. To Lord Thane, the guy understands that the hero may not believe him, so he is ready to guarantee. This is with the help of a contract, where he will put his head. Tenjin's lips twitch in a small smile. He notes that the seriousness of Shanguan's attitude can be seen, so he promises to reconsider a decision about his brothers, but he has a condition. The interlocutor assures that if it will be in its power, then it will fulfill any condition. It turns out that Tang Yin is planning to appoint two people to the city guards. One will manage military affairs, the other political. He represents Eugene, who is his right-hand man. The scientist is a specialist in the field of strategic plans, and he will be happy to make him responsible in the field of military affairs. But as for the person in charge of this case, he's not very sure. Yuanji still decides to clarify what Lord Tang means. The hero believes that the city guard responsible for political affairs should be Brother Shanguan. Chapter 1-82. This sentence is a little unsettling to the other person. Tenjin gives Tom 3 minutes to think, noting that this is its only condition. Moreover, if Brother Shanguan vouches that they would not escape, he would give him up his brothers this very hour. These words calm Yuanji down a little. Eugene doubts this decision, so he decides to check if Brother Tan is sure about it. But he asks him not to worry, because even if their acquaintance with Brother Shanguan barely took place, but he is sure that he is a man of his word. Yuanzi promises that the next 3 days will be spent with Yuan Wu and Yuan Bao. They will not leave the Bai estate. then whatever his decision regarding his condition, he will send them back to his mercy. These words please the hero, because behind the words of a gentleman, drastic action follows, so he orders Shanggu and Yuanwu and Yunbao to be brought in. After that, a small squad meeting begins. The swordsman is a little surprised at the leader. He released 2 brothers. Bai also notes that this pair was not easy to catch. Chili Arc Chang supports this opinion. It can be seen that he is afraid that these 2 will then return to them in order to take revenge. Bai also believes that brother Yuanji doesn't control his brothers. Otherwise, none of them would be able to do this. There are no robbers. Tenjin himself knows that Yuanji won't be able to hold them back. But if he didn't let them go, then Yuanji wouldn't negotiate, and the hero couldn't use them in any way. Otherwise, the people want to continue discussing this conversation, but Tenjin suggests leaving this topic. Because they have a conversation that is more important. We are talking about the situation in Manban. As soon as he gets back, General Bai, they need to start training the scouting steeds and conscientiously so that they can. They survived in difficult conditions. Subordinates accept this order, but this is not all that is wanted. This guy, Tang Yin, wants to create a separate intelligence unit they will take AI Jia and Latian under their command. Tenjin decides that so far the unit will have 500 fighters. Commanders can lead from any units. When they choose a person, they just need to inform their superiors, and they will not be able to do this. You don't have to report it. The general calls to convince those with anything, because everything that is in his power, he can do. It will provide them. His last request, he needs 2 trained elite scouting squads in the shortest possible time at any cost. Subordinates accept the order of their leader. Night falls. The full moon is shining in the sky. Guards guard the heroes' homes. The 2 brothers are the same. Calmly pass by them unnoticed. They make their way to the guy's bedroom, and then they attack him, believing that Tenjin has no way to defend himself. One of the brothers apologizes, saying that Lord Tang asked for this. At this time, the voice with Patakonica notices that they used such a powerful spiritual tool for his sake alone. The attackers turn around, spotting Tang Yin unharmed. The guy was sprawled out in the window, noticing that by his mercy he spared their lives, and they decided to kill him while he was sleeping. This, very ungrateful. The brothers break off in the direction of the hero, wanting to impale him on their spiritual weapons. Both of them alone. They believe that a cunning fox should not talk about honor, but rather prepare for death. Tenjin jumps off the window, redirecting the enemy's paired attack to the floor with his weapon. The guy takes a blow on the blade of his scythe, but the enemy's strength throws him out from the house through the window. The Tenjin slides on its back on the ground, and its opponent jumps to launch an attack on it. The hero only smiles at this. When the spearheads touch the ground, the guy is no longer there. Both brothers realize that something has gone wrong. They ended up in a crater with Decent, a place that is not so easy to get out of. They quickly realize that they have been trapped. The hero, standing on top, declares that with them, it doesn't always work. In the next instant, several torches covered with a black cloth fly into the pit. By fire, the attackers are surprised to realize that the entire pit is covered in tar, because in a moment all of their enemies are trapped in the pit. The environment is on fire. They are screaming in pain, Tenjin along with their subordinates. Watching them, the 2 brothers were covered in flames. They screamed in pain. Eugene was even beginning to doubt that they will survive. Tenjin reassured him, saying that they could manage in the standing of the spiritual essence. After a while, the screams stopped. The hero ordered to put out the fire and carry ropes. 2. The brothers were taken out of the pit and tied up on their knees. Tang Yin points out that if it wasn't for their brother, they would be dead, but they wanted revenge. After that, the hero orders to smear the attacked eyes with a burn remedy. Eugene accepts this. One of the killers still decides to find out what their punishment will be. The guy is willing to let them go for Yuanji, but he gives them a choice. They can come back later, if they don't like it, or they can stay, because he will need a great guard, and they are suitable. This role, the brothers decide to find out if he is afraid that they will try to kill him. Tenjin also notes that, even if they don't want to go to the front lines, with their talents, they are bound to be the defenders of the weak as well. They become robbers, so there's still the question of which one of them is the fox. The brothers admit that Tang Yin is stronger than them, but it is important for them to know what they will get for their service. The hero can't promise that they will live to gray hair, but it will definitely be a glorious life. They won't be rich, but all of it will be theirs. He doesn't promise them a place at the top, but he will. Anything he can do. He only expects loyalty from them, and then he can recognize them as brothers and become a brother to them yourself. The brothers get up from the ground on shaky legs. They decide to go after the guy if it's, perhaps. Chapter 1-85. Eugene and Tenjin were visited by the older brother of the couple who attacked them last night. He begged for them. He apologized, thinking that his unscrupulous brothers had insulted him again, and that he had betrayed his trust.